Hello and welcome to Landscape Photography World, the podcast for everyone passionate about landscape photography. I'm Grant Swinburne and I'll be your host on this show discussing the wonderful world of landscape photography. This time I'm joined by Davey Rogers to talk about his landscape photography journey. Davey hails from the Sapphire Coast on the southeastern corner of New South Wales. His work reflects his deep connection to the place he grew up in and focuses on the pristine natural beauty of the surrounding area. We talk about how his location, the weather and seasons shape his photography, discuss his commercial work, as well as his passion for seascapes, and a bit about some plans he has to help reinvigorate his local community after the relentless impacts of bushfires and the pandemic. I hope you enjoy the show. G'day, Davey. Welcome to the podcast. How are you going?
Good, Grant. Thanks for having me on, mate.
Absolute pleasure. I'm really chuffed to be talking to you. It's, we spoke a little while ago on the phone when I first asked you, and ever since you've definitely been high on the list, and prior to the phone call, you were high on the list to ask to get on because I love the South Coast, and B, I certainly love your work.
Thanks, mate. I love the South Coast too, and you're really excited to chat because I'll chew your ear off about this place for hours.
Well, I've got plenty of time, and I hope our listeners have got the time as well. We'll just see how we go for time, and we'll just chat and make it up as we go along, as I always do.
This way.
Absolutely. So, can you tell me the Davey Rogers story?
The Davey Rogers story. Well, it's a simple one, but I was born on the Sapphire Coast, not too long ago, and then moved to the city like everyone does, and worked in advertising and media.
Yep.
And just decided I was really sick of the rat race one day, and decided to quit my job and move back down to the Sapphire Coast to follow a dream of photography. So
fantastic. So how long ago was it that you packed it in up here in Sydney?
It's coming up to 5 years now, and it's gone really quickly. And I felt like I've covered a lot of things in that time.
Yeah.
Not only with my photography, but been through down here, 2 big bushfires and now COVID, and it kind of, has thrown a bit of a spanner in the works for my plans. But it's been a great journey so far.
Oh, fantastic! So you're full-time photography now, or are you backing it up with other things?
I'm backing it up with other things, but I do digital marketing for a couple of clients as well. But I'm slowly sort of supplementing that work out for more photography. I'm picking up more and more jobs as I go on, which is great. It's what I wanted to achieve, and I'm achieving it. So
okay.
It's also I've got my finger in a few different pies. It's not only doing commercial work, but I also have my own side of things, selling prints and
yep.
So, yeah.
And so the prints you sell, they're mostly landscapes, or are they a mix?
Landscapes. It's all icons. Everyone wants the icons. I've tried to be all arty with selling my print, but no, everyone wants, Tathra Wharf or Gamma Pool or the boat sheds at Marimbula, and they're the best sellers, so I run with it.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
I think my
you make what sells. That's
exactly.
That's business,
exactly.
Isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm still going to go down the art side and keep going down there. And one day I might sell something arty, and then I'll be happy.
So just on the commercial side, so what sort of commercial work are you doing? Advertising or tourism or?
Yeah, it is advertising for small clients and tourism. My background is in publishing and advertising, so I have got that sort of background where I can talk to clients and can work out strategies and work out what photos they need that tell a story, that's the product. So it's just that natural progression from my from my past work to sort of, extend that flow through to photography and, talk to clients and talk about their goals and what they want to achieve, and then do the photography from there.
Fantastic.
But it is sort of, very much lifestyle and touristy. I worked in magazine publishing for a long time, and one of my longest stints was on the Qantas in-flight magazine, which had beautiful photography. And I think that's, maybe probably did have a big influence on me, looking at all those great travel products. And,
there's a certain standard, certain style required to...
Exactly. And I think that's been a big influence. So I try and keep it stylish with my commercial work.
So do you stay fairly local with your photography, or do you get out and about? I keep it local to the Sapphire Coast and a bit beyond. It's just easy driving distance, particularly with what's going on now with lockdown as well. Yeah,
I'm just shooting in my own backyard, and what a backyard! It's fantastic. So there's enough here to keep me going. All the time.
I'd love a backyard like that.
Yeah, same. And it's lucky, the photos that I'm taking from the backyard. Luckily, I can feed those back into the tourism group down here, and also clients looking for travel inspiration for their websites and so forth. I can feed it all back in. So there's enough to keep me going strong down here. It is a big tourist region, and tourism is one of the big, probably the biggest industry down here. So there's definitely enough going on to keep photographers interested.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you're certainly known for your fantastic landscape stuff and seascapes in particular, and obviously, as you said, all of the icons. Where's your favourite spot other than maybe the icons? Because everyone's going to say, oh yeah, well, Camel Rock or Horsehead or Marambula Boathouse or whatever. Yep. What would be your go-to?
Well, my go-to, really, I suppose it goes back to, I love getting into pure nature, and any of the national parks down here are my favourite. And, it does go back to, why I left the city in the first place. I was admittedly a bit burnt out from my job. And, when I left, I really took 12 months off to come down here and just get right into photography. And for me, it was I wasn't looking to commercialize it. I selfishly took 12 months off and was like, I'm going to do this. I just sort of sought out places that were just naturally beautiful, and it was kind of like my meditation as, I think a lot of landscape photographers, that's why they do it as well. It's just to get in that great headspace and connect with nature and
absolutely
totally chill out and get in the zone. So, anywhere that's, it's great to photograph icons, particularly buildings, but I love getting into sort of those pure nature experiences where...
and you spot for choice down there too. If there's
spot for choice, yeah. But, to be honest, Mimosa Rocks National Park would have to be my favourite spot of all time. And it's a big national park, and it must have probably about 15 different beaches and coves, inlets on it. So there's multiple places to go, whether it's sunrise or sunset. It's good in flat surf or huge surf or different coves that protect you from different wind directions, and so much choice. And it's just one of those magic spots, and I'm happy to go in there and just spend a whole week shooting in there.
I'm very much the same. I was down that way, staying actually in Tathra back in December last year, or November, December. And, the fact that Mimosa was so accessible there and had so many, and then they're not necessarily, as you say, the iconic places, but there's just so many places in that national park that you can get to. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I remember one particular morning down at Aragonoo, and it was, literally nobody else there. And that's one of the other things I really like about it is the solitude. And, it was just one of those really nice mornings where conditions, they weren't perfect, it wasn't, that banging red sky or anything, but there was nice light, there was nice swell, and, some really nice compositions were able to be found. It was a nice morning out,
It's a great morning out. And it's rarely you see anyone out. It's either, you come across a few early morning fishermen, and then, in the dark, and then maybe just after the sun comes up, the odd surfer will come out. But there's never anyone around here. It's not really
came across a few wallabies and a couple of wombats on the track down there at about...
Oh, yeah, they'll scare the crap out of you in the morning.
But other than that, it was pretty lonely.
Yeah.
So, have you done much shooting internationally, or are you sort of more of a homebody?
Well, that was the plan. I when I sort of left work, I did a few trips overseas. I went to Peru, and where else did I go? Peru and Patagonia.
Nice. Yep.
In that first 2 years, and did a lot in Tasmania as well.
Yep.
And then just before, I know, I really miss it. And then when before the bushfires even, and through COVID, I had plans. I was about to head off to New Zealand, and then the bushfires happened, and last year I was planning, Iceland and Japan, and that just all fell aside. So, my international dreams of traveling have just been shattered. But
everyone's
really like everyone. But I'm still happy. I'm making the most of it down here and keeping myself pretty occupied. It's it's a good opportunity, I think, to sort of grow your techniques and that. And even if you get a bit bored of doing the same places all the time, you sort of work out new things to do. So,
sure.
I've been in lockdown here, and I try and do sunrise and sunsets most days, but also now I'm working on a bit of a stock shot project for the area. So
nice.
And that's something I can recommend people can get into as well. It's you can make money from it.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of do your sunrise and sunsets and get those great artistic shots with the color, and then after you've finished, go do a hike and collect a series of photos, both vertical and horizontal portrait formats, and get them in daylight. Get a couple of your friends with backpacks on and get them on the track, and just whip up a nice little series of stock shots and put them away, and there'll be someone will be bound enough to.
Yeah, you got to make sure they've either got a yellow or a red jacket, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Get and some boots and looking all hipster and a beard. Right, and stuff.
Yeah. And, one of those Boy Scout hats.
Yeah, that's the one.
So is there anything, I guess, about the pandemic that's changed your attitude towards travelling and photography? You talked about, everybody's sort of international travel dreams have been sort of put on hold because of it. But, has it changed your attitude at all? Or?
Yeah, definitely. I've had to really, talk myself into being optimistic and not to get too depressed or anything like that. It's it's easy when you're locked into maybe get down in the dumps, but I'm just making sure I get out and take as many photos as I can, and maybe I don't publish them, but I just have them in the background, as I say. Go on a bushwalk and do create some stock shots and grow things that way. Practice your travel or daytime photography.
That's right.
But But also at the start of lockdown, I upgraded my camera equipment and went mirrorless to the Canon R5 and bought all new lenses as well. So that's kept me occupied for the last couple of years. I've loved upgrading and buying some nice serious glass and testing everything out. So just upgrading that my whole system has opened up a lot of opportunities with new shooting. I've bought a tele lens, an RF 100 to 500, which I love using now. I like going out and
I've heard good things about that lens, and I've heard good things about the R system. Across the board. I mean, there's a couple of bodies. I think one or two of the early ones were a bit short on features, but how are you finding the R5?
Mate, I actually love it. It's not only is it sort of just an upgrade on everything. I upgraded from the Canon 6D Mark II to the R5, which is a huge jump. It's like, but it's been great. Just the inbuilt stabilization is incredible. I've ditched the tripod on basically half my shots. I can do handheld shots now up to, I can just push half a second, but, a third of a second and quarter of a second, no problems at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's good enough for getting a worthwhile flow shot, definitely. For
exactly.
That quarter second markers to a third of a second is about your sweet spot, isn't it? Depending on the condition.
I love it. It's, I used to be kind of, I suppose my long exposures got shorter and shorter as the years. I used to love doing flows and waves on 1 second, and then I went down to half second, and now I'm kind of, at 0.4 or even 0.3 of a second. I think
I still pop the odd 7 minute one just for.
I'm kind of either I love like totally filtering up and doing a 2 minute sort of and making everything,
make everything very misty and glassy, or I'm, down to 0.3 of a second. I've kind of skipped that whole in between thing. Yeah. Well, there's probably not much there in that in between area, is there? Sometimes. Depends on what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's some nice, high level cloud moving reasonably quickly with a bit of breeze, you can get into that midsection where you get some nice streaks across the cloud, but across the sky. But other than that, as I say, I think you find as you hone your skills and hone the craft, you tend to polarize some of your shooting a little bit to either really short exposures or those. Shorter, long exposures.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Or we go big and you put a 10 stop on and you're there for 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's exactly where I'm at this point. So it's fun, but even I'm kind of not branching away, but I'm even having more fun doing landscape with a tele lens now as well. Rather than
it adds a really different dimension to how you shoot and also what you can shoot. Yeah,
exactly. Like just shooting mountains in the distance and mountain ranges and waves crashing in and hitting rocks in the distance and bommies and stuff like that. It's just super fun with the tele lens.
Yeah, definitely. So there anything, you've got a fairly unique style, but you can also see, I guess, elements of some of that travel and advertising sort of style in some of your work, not all of it, but are there any particular things that you think that you're doing that might be different to others, and what are they? What are the tricks that you've picked up, and why do you do them? Why have you hung on to those tricks?
Ooh, good question. But I suppose it's not tricks. It's just having that home advantage of where I am. That I've got that the benefit of being able to revisit places over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
If a lot of, people might be familiar down here with the, they come and get the Horsehead Rock or the Camel Rock shots, and, they really get what they get on the day or the weekend that they're down here.
Yeah, your conditions aren't always ideal, and
yeah, correct. And the photos which I sort of post on social media, it's very rarely I get to a location and get the first shot on that single time. I'll go back and back and back and go back at different conditions and really kind of study the area. I'll even go through the day and not take my camera, and just to get a really good feel of what's going on at that location. Is it a sunset spot? Is it a better sunrise spot? What wind direction it works best in? And, is it good for a coloured sky or a blue sky, or
better in winter versus summer or autumn?
Yeah, exactly. And, I'll really just do a lot of test work and hang on to that print and build something up in my head. And then, you just sort of keep going back. And then one day, everything, all the conditions come together and you get that shot. And that's when I'm like, okay, I'm happy with that one now. So that's good. So that's the approach I take. I kind of will find a location and really kind of, study it and go back and again and really work on the shot that I've got in my head. Before I probably think that's probably where my photos are different from everyone else's.
Fair enough, and all power to you. You live in a great part of the world, and you've got a fair chunk of it to yourself. I mean, there are a few others floating around down that way, but not many, and certainly not many of the standard of your stuff.
Oh, thanks, mate. But yeah, no, there's some great. I've got some. There are a great bunch of photographers down here, so it's really fun to hang out with them and go out shooting. But there's some great photographers down here.
Yeah.
And it's always good catching up with people too. I like.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
People come down from Burmie to Bermuda for the weekend and get in contact. So anyone listening, if they come down this way, shoot me a note, and I'm really happy. I love catching up with people that come down and going out for a shoot and a beer afterwards. So,
yeah. I was talking to Serena Jackson a few episodes ago. She mentioned that she's planning to come and park a camper van on your front lawn.
Yeah, I think Serena had her, photography experience down here. That sunrise that changes people and gets them totally addicted. I went with Serena out. We went to Bournda Island in Bournda National Park, and
nice.
We had this most incredible sunrise. It wasn't so much not a red burner, but it was just one or more of those golden sunrises that just went on forever, and the crepuscular rays were going, and things were lighting up, and it just went on for about half an hour, and I was watching Serena shoot, and her jaw was dropped, and I think straight after that she ran back to Sydney and bought a whole set of new equipment and became a photographer. So it was good watching people find their photography moments when they come down.
She talked a little bit about that, but she said she's bought herself a camper van, so she's
yes.
That was the pre-COVID plan, and COVID's obviously put the kibosh on that, but she definitely said that she'll come and park on your lawn for a few days anyway.
Oh yeah. Everyone's welcome. Come on down.
So what about your processing? Do you, before I get to that, let's talk about your planning. How much planning do you put into a shoot?
Oh, lots of planning. Yeah, lots of planning. I would say everything's planned with my shoots. I don't leave anything to chance. I'm always keeping my eye on the weather conditions and tides and what time sunrises is and winds. So, I kind of work like that. And it's much like surfing. I grew up surfing where you do keep an eye on conditions, and you're really in tune with what's going on. And in the back of your mind, you've always got, okay, what place is going to work well under these conditions? So I, go and do that. So even if it's a blue sky day, I love getting out and, if it's going to be a blue sky sunrise, I'll think, okay, you know what, I'm going to take the drone. I'm going to shoot backward at one of these headlands and get that first little bit of sunlight.
That horizontal golden light,
Yeah, or if, there's chance of cloud, I'll be in some swell and it's a high tide, I'll be like, oh, well, I'll go to Arroganu and do that.
Yep.
Or depending on, but yeah, I'm always reading conditions and I'm kind of loving it more and more. Particularly, one thing I am a little bit obsessed about at the moment is the full moon rise. I don't know why, but it's just my new thing. I think I've found a couple of locations that the full moon sort of comes up over. So I've been chasing the full moon rise over a couple of things, which I love. It's a really, shooting the moon is a lot harder than it actually sounds.
and depending on the conditions, you got to manage your dynamic range. You got to manage the movement of the moon and the earth and everything. That
it moves quick. The moon. You'd be surprised by the time it comes up and you realise you're standing in the wrong spot and you've got to bolt to somewhere else, and then it's moved. It's incredible.
I remember when I first got a telescope as a young teenager, and putting it up, and you could see all the craters and everything, and you'd call my brother to come and have a look, and by the time he came outside, it was no longer in the frame, so you had to go and change it and set it all up and line it all up again, by which time he got bored and went back inside. So
it's a real rush, and I kind of admire all the Sydney photographers when the full moon happens. It's
there's probably a lot more things that you can line it up on in Sydney. You got
I get really jealous.
Skyscrapers and a few lighthouses. There's
the Opera House and Harbour Bridge. It's I always love seeing the full moon shots that come out of Sydney. The morning after. Really, really. People are getting really creative with their moon shots. Love it.
So for people that don't know the Sapphire Coast in particular, what would be the best way to describe it? Obviously very coastal, but,
It's coastal, it's pristine, it's quite dramatic, it's cold, it's not your Byron Bay and beachy. It is nice in summer, but in winter it's really cold down here, and the ocean's icy, so it's kind of quite dramatic.
You get that southerly current coming up the coast that sort of drags water up from around the bottom of Tasmania, where it's nice and cold and keeps things cool.
It's cool. So it's sort of it's nice to get out. I much prefer going out in winter and, shooting around here. It's just got this great, quietness, but still rawness, and something about it, the waves, and, you probably everyone knows how dramatic the coastline is down here with the rocks and
plenty of sea stacks.
Yeah, stacks and coves and headlands, and it's just sport for choice with all that. So it's really nice, but it is a challenge trying to get with your photography to actually bring out the feeling of winter down here, because I would say the skies are not much different between a blue sky day in summer. It looks like a blue sky day in winter, but trying to bring out that coldness of the area down here is a challenge, which I haven't mastered yet, but I love it when in the middle of winter when you get sea mists and big seas, and really that's when I love using the tele lens and trying to capture that coldness of the coast, I suppose. So
well, I guess one thing that a lot of people probably do recall, particularly from 2019, 2020, was the devastation that was caused by the bushfires down there. What was your experience in that period?
Oh man, that was pretty horrific, the bushfires. But you know, a lot of people know about the the Black Summer bushfires, which happened recently. But you know, 2 years before that, Tathra itself actually got hit by a bushfire. It was a very localized one that started at the inland, and the wind was blowing in the right direction, and it just blew in straight into town and took out about 100 houses. I lost my neighbours, 3 houses on one side, and down the street lost another 5 neighbours, and that was a real blow for the town. It was that was really dramatic, and then 2 years later, the drought kept going, and we had the Black Saturdays. So that was just when you think things couldn't get any worse, and then COVID hits. So
it's just been
it's been a gradual build-up of natural disasters, I suppose. And but the bushfires were just horrific for anyone that was down here at the time. Particularly for the tourism industry, they happened right in the middle of right over Christmas, and it was one of the things I recall. All the roads were closed. There was only one road out of town that was you had to go from Bateman's Bay and travel down the coast and inland and around, and then back up to Canberra. It was just about 4 days of a convoy of cars and trailers and boats, just all trying to get out of town. It was, it's really third world. It was something you don't want to have to experience again. It was just
I can imagine.
Mm.
So you were, I guess, lucky enough not to lose any property or anything, or have any damage around your place at all, or?
No, definitely no. My place was fine, but it's you realise that in these small communities, you become directly affected in other ways, like the owner of the cafe might live next door, and then the cafe closes down, or things stop because people are directly affected, and there was not only sort of economically, but in people's there was a lot of grief, and people were actually really struck hard, mentally with this as well. There's still people recovering from that, who are living in the shadows. So it's a really it's been great to see community get together and just try and lift these people up who have been really sort of deeply affected, just through little things like concerts and nights at the pubs and raffles and things like that. But that's what you realise when you leave to the country. It's people have been
all about community, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that which I was thinking after the Tathra fires, it's like, what can I do to help out? I'm pretty hopeless at saving an animal, and I'm not a firefighter, and what can I do to help out? And after the fires, after they're all been put out, I approached the local Chamber of Commerce for Tathra and told them this. I was like, I'd love to help out. One thing I can do is take photos and manage a social media account. So I set up an account for Tathra called Visit Tathra on Facebook and Instagram, and just fed in all my landscape photos and worked with the different businesses around, and took photos of different cafes and businesses and helped them out and fed them into the social media to help generate a bit of online business for them, which is still going strong today. So that's been lots of fun. So, and I think that's where photographers can help out.
Definitely,
local communities. There's businesses these days screaming out for content to run online, and what better way to help out a community or a town or a cause if you're a photographer by providing people with some professional looking images.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Nice. Well, I was talking to Josh Birkinshaw a little while ago as well, and one of the things he mentioned was he'd been having a chat to you about a possible event once lockdown ends. What are your thoughts about that? And is there a way that I can help, or
get involved? Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's going to be itching for something to do, and I was just chatting with Josh, and he's an awesome guy, and he's a real great ambassador for the South Coast as well. And we were just talking about how much fun it is having people come down and explore the area, and also it's great catching up with people and stories and skills and stuff. But to host some kind of not so much a workshop, but just a tour, and people come along and get some purist landscape people down and just have a really great time exploring the South Coast, and sharing a few great locations and a few beers afterwards, and all creating content to show off this beautiful area, and hopefully spread the word of tourism. But not only come down and take photos, but hang out and go have some beers and support the local businesses, and a bit of lunch here and stay here. So I think that's what a lot of people ask. What's the best way of helping out the
come and visit
tourism towns? It's just come and visit and spend up. The money that you might spend going to Iceland or Patagonia or overseas, just come down and drop in a small town. And I tell you what, at the moment, like every cup of coffee you buy is appreciated by small businesses down here at the moment.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. Well, as I said to Josh, anything that I can do, and anyone listening as well that might have any ideas or might have any particular skills that they could bring to bear on something like this once we're out of lockdown, I think I'm happy to help in any way I can.
Oh, that's awesome, mate. So I think there's a good fun idea there to be had.
Definitely.
But also,
I'm always up for another trip to the Sapphire Coast.
I mean, more immediately, hopefully this lockdown will finish soon. But, whale season down here is just about to kick off in a big way. It's, it's early September now, and, mid-September is when the peak season really starts for the southern whale humpback migration. And I tell you what, that is a blast for any photographers wanting to improve their skills or learn a new skill. Going out on the whale boats and shooting, fast-moving whales breaching, it's a really fun thing to do between doing landscapes. So,
I've tried it a few times. I have a lot more misses than I have successes, but they're either not quite in focus, or they're not zoomed in far enough.
One of the biggest tips is to totally over-caffeinate yourself before you get on the boat. So I always make sure I throw down at least, a couple of double-shot coffees before you get on the boat to make sure you're highly alert. And then you don't want to take your eye off the prize. Just keep looking down that lens and keep your eye on the water. It's don't get distracted. That's the best tip.
And I think that's one of the hardest parts is not being distracted. Usually where was the last time I did it? I think it was up at Port Stephens somewhere. Was the last time I tried a whale shoot, and I got a couple that were just about okay, but just nothing that I'd post on social media anyway. But part of it, as you say, you're in a beautiful part of the world. It's hard to keep focused on what's going on the water as opposed to looking at the scenery around you.
Yeah, that's really true. But also the the whales down here. I mean, I could say I've done some whale watching up and down the east coast of Australia, and the whale watching I think on the Sapphire Coast is probably one of the best locations in Australia. I think the whale behaviour does actually change down here for some reason, and I think it's because, this is the whales on the southern migration. They come down the coast past Sydney. They're in travel mode, setting on down. But when they get to the Sapphire Coast, when they get past Eden, that's the last time they see land for a while, and they make a beeline straight across to Antarctica. So it's, I don't know why, but it's they get a bit more playful and active and jump more and so forth. Maybe they're saying see you later to the mainland before they head back down. But it's definitely some unique behaviour that happens.
It sounds like there's a marine biology study to be done there.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's lots of people studying them down here, and lots of people shooting them now too. It's kind of, I think, whale photography is taking off to be.
Yeah, particularly with the drones, you see a lot of those top down shots of the humpbacks, and I think I saw one bloke, he got a blue whale, which is pretty unusual.
No, it's. I don't know. That would have been amazing to see. I don't know how you see them. It's hard enough to spot them on the water, but what a sight.
Yeah, no, it's it is an amazing experience, and if anyone who hasn't done it gets the opportunity, I'd say go for it. It's well worth the price of admission. Yeah,
especially if you've got a great tele lens that's just burning a hole in your bag and you haven't used it for a while. Take it out on the boat and give it dust the cobwebs off it.
That's all my lenses at the moment.
Oh, really?
I know. I actually just bought a 2x convert. Well, just bought quite a while ago now. A 2x converter, and I've been able to shoot with it once. Because I'd bought it, then shot with it once that one weekend, and then lockdown started, so I haven't had to play with it. But that 2x, I've got a 70 to 200. Boosting that up to that 400 mark really makes a difference. And the 70 to 200 is a nice piece of glass, and with the 2x extender on it, it's still just as nice.
Oh yeah. Great lens. I've got one of those, which I carry every week. So I'm kind of I swap around between 4 lenses. Really, it's in my bag. So but I'd have to say in terms of lens use, my favourite, I like the 24 to 105. It's a really nice lens just to after the sun comes up, I whack that on the camera body, and I kind of use that throughout the day just to take day shots and stock shots and event shots. It's such a great versatile lens.
It's pretty much got everything you need. The ultra wide.
Yeah.
So what about your processing style? What is it that you do there that?
Do I enjoy processing?
Some people love it. Some people hate it.
Yeah, it's not the most favourite part of the thing, the work. I love it when I've been out to do my own landscape stuff, and I've come home with knowing I've got a great shot, and then I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But, editing on for commercial work and regular work.
Well, that's work, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. It's such a chore. But you know what? It's nothing that special. I download into Lightroom. I've got some presets which I pretty much, overlay onto everything.
Yeah,
I've got a sort of my own little sort of standard sort of preset that I put across everything, and then I sort of work on a bit of a triage system where I go and mark, do a first sort of edit, and then I'll, do another edit over the top, and then I'll sort of gradually work down and, come up with my 10 best shots maybe from a shoot and download. But
when you know you've got the one, how long would you spend processing that one that you say, yep, this is magic, I really, really like it?
Maybe probably a good hour. Probably a good hour between, Lightroom and then do some adjustments in Photoshop. And then I always make sure I let it rest for a while, like a few days, and
come back to it later.
Come back to it, yeah. Particularly, if you're working too long, I think you can overthink things. And
Yep. Done that many a time. got halfway through an edit, not feeling it, put it away, and come back to it.
Even start again, if you're not.
I've done that a few times.
Take it. But I think, one of the big things is just, before you publish it or whatever you want to do with it, just sit on it for a while and, look at it, re-look at it again. So that would be the biggest tip.
No, fair enough. You get the odd one where, the amount of editing you got to do is fairly light. I actually found an old one in the archive that I was playing with the other day, and it literally took me 5 minutes because there was a couple of tweaks on contrast, and that was it.
Yep, it's if you've got a great single shot, then fantastic.
Doesn't happen often.
I can pump that out of Lightroom in about 5 or 10 minutes. It's good. Just sort of down the highlights, up shadows, and do a bit of color adjustments and things like that. But it's when you're sort of going into those more complicated processes, photo stacking and layering.
So is there anyone that you go to for advice if you're looking for advice on, a shot or, a particular editing style change that you've made and you want a second opinion? Is there someone that you talk to about it, or?
Yeah, no, definitely. I've I've got a few good friends that I trust on particularly different styles. It depending what you're editing and doing like that. Landscape stuff, particularly astro stuff. I like to call on my mate Luke Sharkey. A bit of a legend, and it's got wherever I'm kind of stumped for a editing process or advice, I give him a call. And my mate down here as well, Pete Hannon, he's an awesome wildlife photographer and knows great tricks about underwater photography and so forth. But there's different people I call on for different skill sets. It's all fun, part of the process, So
and I think that's one of the great things about the photography community is that you can go to people and just say, take a look at this. What do you think?
Oh yeah,
what a great thing. Because I've clearly screwed this up. What am I doing wrong? And that's me anyway. You might not do that.
Oh no, I'm always the first to admit I'm wrong. But what a great bunch of people the landscape photography community is. I'm kind of lucky. When I was in Sydney and doing some stuff up there, I met a lot of really cool people and still in contact today. And I think everyone's really out supporting each other and got each other's backs. And it's I really love to see people having fun with their photography and finding their niche. It's really, particularly with Instagram stories, you see people on the run, like how cool is Matt Finn and his waterfall adventures in the Blue.
Oh yeah,
what a legend! And it's great seeing people find their niche and having fun while they're doing it.
Yeah, really I think that's the best thing is just looking at people clearly having a lot of fun doing what they're doing and sharing that, and it's one of the greatest things I think about the photography community. It's you get to share with a lot of people that are like-minded, and always keen to help. At least that's the experience I've had anyway.
Yeah, no, I find it too. It's, everyone's great and different in their own way and have got their own quirks. But I think, what the underlying theme is, I think that everyone just has a really deep respect for nature, and that's the common thread that sort of
definitely.
It's the commune in community, I think. So it's really, really great bunch of people.
Definitely. So what's the best experience you've had while taking shots?
I think the best experience is getting the unexpected. I think it's, it's getting out there, finding locations but just having that, having that unexpected experience when you're out that you didn't see coming, and you get home, you're like, wow, that was incredible. And it doesn't have to be the sunrise or anything. It could be a dolphin leaping out of the water while you're shooting, or some crazy sea eagle coming down and picking a fish out of the water, or a whale breaching, or just finding a deserted beach with no footprints on it. It's just those small moments that when you get out, I think are the best. And it's you feel really privileged, knowing that you're actually experiencing these things. Definitely. When other people are on the train going to work, and
or asleep.
Or asleep still. So I think it's definitely the things that you come away. But you can't beat getting out to your favourite spot and getting some really crazy goddamn good light coming through. And it doesn't necessarily be the banging skies. It's those golden rays or those moments. I think it's all, as we know, it all comes down to light. And if you get a magic light moment, that just takes your photo to that next level. It's,
totally.
Score. So,
no, I'm totally with you there. What about things that you've not liked, or what's the worst experience you've had?
The worst experience you've had is going out on a grey day and just not getting any light, or my pet hate. I even a blue sky I can work with, but a blue sky with a dirty big cloud bank on the horizon, the worst.
That's the cloud's almost always there across the horizon,
and when that happens day after day, and there's not much you can do with that one. So I've often been known to you drive out before the light comes and even get to location and just see this dirty big cloud bank and just go, nah, I'm going home.
Back to bed.
Turn around. So that's my pet hate. If anyone sees those cloud banks, think of me stomping my feet. So
I remember actually one of my worst mornings was a really nice sunrise, but I forgot the shoe for the tripod. I disconnected it to clean the camera a couple of days before, and just forgot to screw it back on the bottom of the camera, and it wasn't on the tripod, and it was sitting at home, and I was at a beach staring at a fantastic sunrise going, okay.
That's nature telling you something.
Definitely.
Check your gear, or make sure you pack your bag the night before.
Check it, and ever since then, double check, make sure all the batteries are charged, make sure all the there.
Exactly.
It's an absolute must. So what do you like to do when you're not out shooting?
Shooting. When I'm not out shooting, I like to shoot more and test my limits. But as I said, I'm really, using this time to, learn to shoot outside of the sunrise and sunset times. And, you'd be surprised what great shots you can still get, particularly, they don't necessarily have to be, works of art. But, if you're looking to advance your photography business and become commercial, go out and do some stock shots. It's just, finding your favorite place and then, working with these, nice blue sky days and take some shots and go hiking and do a bit of a, try and do a bit of a photo essay on something. Like if you go for a bushwalk, make sure you get a picture of the sign leading into it, a bit of track work, a bit of flora and fauna that represents that, and get the views along the way. And if you come out with a nice little package of 10 shots on that, it's really, it's really saleable. So
yeah, definitely. And even if you don't sell them, I think they make great content for your stories. For example, you might they might not be your A roll that you put in a post or even a reel if you're doing video, but certainly if you want to put it into your stories as the story about how that shot came about, I think doing that sort of thing's fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. And even
I don't do it a lot myself, but then I'm usually driving, when driving in the middle of the night to wherever I'm shooting.
Yeah, I always try and get a little bit of video footage if I'm getting a magic photo opportunity. I've got to remind myself to do it though. But
yeah, I just keep forgetting to do it.
I also like shooting events as well, community events down here. There's some really sort of quirky, cool stuff that goes on in terms of, music and the art scene and so forth. And, I'm always, volunteering to go and shoot these things, and particularly, trying to capture people and community and a bit of the vibe and lifestyle that goes on down here. So I'm collecting a bit of a future, a future stock of images, which I hope, maybe, they're exciting at the time, but I think, when people maybe pull them out in 50 years' time, they'll get a good laugh and, looking about what people are wearing, and I always make sure I put a car there, just some sort of timestamps that give the photo,
I remember going through my grandparents' photo albums and, old books and whatever with those photos. And I think a lot of people forget to sort of those historical documentary style things, they actually might not be, they might be quite banal at the time when you take them because they're an everyday sight, but it's those everyday sights that end up in the history pages at some point,
Yeah, that's correct. I like going to the museum here in the library and just looking at all those shots and getting ideas of, what they capture. And, even when you're leaving a beach or something, to get a shot of a full car park showing all the cars and a few buildings, as you say, it doesn't look great. It's not that interesting now, but in 50 years' time, 100 years' time, that's going to look really interesting. So
people are going to look back and go, oh, what are those things?
Yeah, look at that funny. Yeah, they used to drive cars back in those days.
Yeah.
So, I'm building up a bit of a portfolio of that stuff, which, I'm just keeping aside, and, maybe it might be my legacy on the area down here one day.
No, that's a real
pull out and have a look and a laugh at all the cool stuff that was around. But yeah, so that's what else I do. I'm always got a project on the boil.
Yeah, and I think that's important, and particularly if you're planning to become a professional, you've got to look for those opportunities and those projects, and always be coming up with the next idea, and not just sort of rest on your laurels and hope that the portfolio that I've built, I can just keep reselling that, because you can to a point. But as you say, I think you become a bit creatively stale, and I think also you also miss out on so many opportunities that you can put together stock shots or a historical portfolio for the future, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, you know, one of the tips is just do stuff that's of general interest to you as well. Go and shoot, you know, daytime stuff that's of general interest, and then
absolutely
you keep yourself occupied then. And so yeah, you just got to keep growing those photography skills and thinking about little projects on the side, and you know, building your portfolio that way. You know?
Definitely.
Send it beyond landscapes, and particularly, you know, COVID now. What a great time to get out and try and photograph and capture the mood and the scene. You know, whether it's in the city or the country, about what's happening at the moment. You know, go around to your local businesses and take photos of everyone, you know, wearing their masks, and there's a really photo that's a point in time, and
definitely
as well. So
yeah, though we might be wearing them for some years.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Who knows? Anyway, what are the photographers that are out there that you think you should be on the podcast? Who should I be talking to?
Yeah, I mean, Luke's always got a great story to tell about photography, but any of the Tasmanian photographers as well is what a great bunch of people, and what an awesome state to photograph. But it would be nice. I mean, I'm not sort of that well connected with photographers in other states, but it'd be great to hear from some landscape photographers in Western Australia and the Northern Territory, and Tassie, and you know, talk about the countryside there. It's quite unique. I think it's you know, a lot of the people we know are very New South Wales centric. It's nice to
Well, I'm trying not to be with the podcast and the guests. You know, trying to get some international, but definitely also some interstate. So for me, I wouldn't have called it for, you know, landscape photography world. Otherwise, it is about trying to capture some of the world of landscape photography. But
well, one of my favorite photographers of all time is Paul Nicklin. If you can get him on your podcast, I'd be very impressed. But, you know, I
definitely give it a go.
I love everything he produces. It's kind of that great combination of landscape and wildlife, and his polar shots are just, and, you know, from polar and Antarctica are just insane. You know, the icebergs and the seals and the bears and the rivers. It's just, I think he's just absolutely incredible guy.
Well, definitely put him on the list.
Yeah.
All right. Lastly, and the most important question: pineapple on pizza.
Oh, no way.
No.
Yeah, no, not a fan at all. I'm a traditionalist, and it's nah. I like a good margarita pizza with nothing on it and a few beers. So yeah,
fair enough.
Pineapple can stay in the can as far as I'm concerned.
No worries. All right. Well, thank you so much for talking to me, Dave. It's been absolutely wonderful catching up with you, and really fantastic hearing about how you do what you do. Where can people find your work?
People can find my work on Instagram, Davey_Rogers, or you can find me on Facebook, David Rogers Photography.
All right. Thanks very much.
Excellent. Thanks, Grant. Thanks for having me on. It's been great to sort of, you know, talk about the experience down here. And as I say, I hope people come down, and if they do, look me up and give me a buzz.
Fantastic. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks again for listening to Landscape Photography World. I hope you enjoyed the show, and keep listening, because I'll be joined by some great guests in upcoming episodes. You can find my work and this podcast on grantswinburnephotography.com. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. I'm Grant Swinburne. Hope to see you out shooting soon.